everyone remembers Star Wars and Star Trek. But see, there's other sci-fi voices of shows and people that we might forget. So if you haven't thought of Dollhouse, Classic Battlestar, or Babylon 5 in a while, you gotta listen in. It's a sci-fi diner classic, voices from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's a sci-fi diner classic, bringing you voices from the past. No, we ain't hero things. It's a sci-fi diner classic. Don't give me no news, just give me interviews and nothing else. No, nothing else.
Welcome back to the Sci-Fi Diner podcast. We, of course, have an excellent and exciting interview for you tonight. We actually recorded this interview at Shore Leave this past summer, and it was an absolute pleasure to meet and chat with Robert Picardo.
Yes, this was the one I was probably looking forward to most out of all the interviews we did there. I mean, this was nice for both of us. He was, for me, Star Trek Voyager, for you, the Stargate, and Stargate Atlantis. So it worked out real well.
Yeah, it did. And he was really, when we were there, he really gave us he gave us our attention, and he was really focused in what we were talking about. It was really good to kind of sit down and just chat with him, because he's someone that we both have kind of admired. And we look forward to seeing where he's going to appear next. And, two notable sci-fi shows, and obviously sci-fi isn't the only thing he does, but these were some big, big shows for him. And I know that it was really exciting just to sit here and chat with him. And so we're just really glad that we can bring you this interview. And, I think that's it. Anything else you want to say, Miles?
I'm looking forward to hearing the interview. I'm waiting for months to hear it. And
yeah, I know. We recorded it, and we was like, let's do it closer to when Stargate airs. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, we've been trying to line the interviews up with shows that are either on or that are coming out. And so, so this is one that's coming out in 2 weeks. Stargate Universe is coming out, and Robert Picardo may or may not be on it. I think when we talked to him, he wasn't planning on it. But also some news that the Stargate movie is now back in the throes of things, so we might see him in that. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But either way, we're done enough talking here. Why don't we go ahead and run into the interview?
Hope you enjoy.
Captain's log, stardate 53556.4. We've towed a damaged vessel aboard and are attempting to repair it, while the doctor treats the Komarian crew who have suffered minor injuries.
We are ready to return to our ship. Could you contact one of your superiors?
Doctor to the captain, please report to sickbay.
Already on my way.
The captain is coming here now. If you want to talk to her, you can have a seat.
My name's Scott.
Hi, Scott. How do you do?
And there's
Miles. Hi, Miles. How do you do?
Ethan Phillips must be the greatest sport in the world.
Oh, why? Because I abuse him so horribly?
Yes.
We are great friends, and our shtick has become an extension of our relationship as the characters on Voyager, where Neelix basically annoyed the Doctor, but the Doctor secretly liked him and admired his, enthusiasm and his upbeat attitude, but also found him a bit of a boob, so that was. We've extended that relationship in the way we interact on stage, but we're really great friends.
Well, the chemistry is there.
Well, we love each other. We're really great friends. We talk on the phone a lot. We make each other laugh. We leave each other joke messages and, satiric messages about Star Trek conventions. I once told him that because the convention market was slowing down, there was a promoter who who was proposing a Star Trek convention where the fans got to kill their favorite Star Trek actor. It was called SnuffCon, but he needed both of us to commit because it was a 2-day event.
Right.
So I would leave that message on his machine, dead serious, and see what he would, how he would respond to the the SnuffCon offer.
So you guys try to out-sing each other?
We try to take it to the next level and teasing each other and leaving it. Yeah. So we're just really good buddies.
Love the show the other night.
Oh, thank you.
That was.
Thank you. It's billed as a play, but that's not really fair to the entire history of theater.
Well, when you step at a character and you start kicking him,
it's very goofy.
Works.
It works because the audience. It's fun for the audience to see us slip in and out of the characterizations, at least vocally, that they're used to, so that when we completely stop dead and goof around and then go right back to where we were, I think that people enjoy that. Peek behind the backstage peek that they think they're getting. And it's fun for us. The interruptions have become way more important than the story.
Well, and it makes it varied and interesting for you as well, then.
Yeah, it's always a little different. We repeat, obviously, some jokes, but I have no idea what he's going to say or who's going to take the lead in goofing off, necessarily. Sometimes I will stop the show earlier on, but normally I let him do it, and then so to establish the fact that I'm trying to get business done, and then he annoys me. But then, because my character tends to be a huge windbag, I sometimes won't let go of something, as you know. So we both stop the show plenty of times.
Now, tell us about Stargate Atlantis. That's where I became familiar. I actually am not a Trekkie. Mm-hmm. Miles is.
He will be someday.
Yeah, he's trying to convert
when
me.
he grows up.
Yeah, right now I'm more of an Atlantis. Mm-hmm. Tell us about when you initially became a part of Stargate, the franchise. It was kind of a side character. You were in for a few episodes, we didn't see you for a while, and all of a sudden Woolsey shows up again, and all at the end he's running Atlantis. How did that all work out? Did you know it was going to be a?
I didn't know. It really came from the fact that that we're making an interview. Could you come back in a couple minutes? It really came from the fact, I think, that the producers Joe Malazzi and Paul Mealy liked me. They had me up there. I think they were aware of me and liked my work from Voyager. They had me up for the one-shot guest star, where I was supposed to help provide filler material for an episode that ran too long, and they were going to expand it into a 2-parter, Heroes. And I played a pretty straight-ahead bad guy who came in to, assign blame for the tragedy of the death of their doctor, and was really giving General Hammond, dear departed Don Davis, a tough time, and interviewing everybody. And it was a complicated day shooting, a lot of dialogue, some tricky camera moves, but I got the job done. They liked me. They took me out to dinner. And then I thought that was it. I never thought I'd come back in a part like that, but they decided to bring me back, and with each successive appearance, they kind of rehabilitated the Woolsey character a little bit. Right. First he was just an out-and-out dick. And the next time he's a dick, but he means well, right? He's a well-motivated dick. And then with each successive time, they started giving him little character foibles, a little bit of humor, different things. Are you off, my dear?
Oh, no, I'm doing the talk.
Oh, good. Oh,
yeah. Are you off today?
No, I'm staying this evening, so maybe I'll see you later.
I'm here until tomorrow, too.
All right.
Okay, good. That's
Bye-bye. Thanks. Little interlude there with Rachel Luttrell, my castmate, or former castmate. With each successive appearance, they gave me some comic foibles. The Scourge, the SGA episode where we went off-world, and Woolsey's afraid to go through the Stargate, and then he's afraid of the bugs, and he runs away faster than anyone else. So they established him sort of as a conference room guy who's not at all adept or courageous in the real situation. And the irony is that once he became the liaison with the IOA, I would say the International Olympic Committee, the IOA, then he was constantly evaluating the leadership of others when in fact he had no real leadership skills of his own. So when I did get the call from Joe Malazzi asking how I'd like to take over the Atlantis expedition, I was really surprised. I said I'd love to, but are you kidding? And I said I've been kind of a coward and certainly not a good people manager and not a leader. And then the impression I got from him was that was what would make it challenging. The fans liked my character, and that they would tweak it, all that. But basically, it would become. And when I hung up the phone, I thought, with so many people changing careers later in life, especially, and it's gotten a lot worse in the economic meltdown, but you got people in their 50s who are out of work trying to reinvent themselves, and I thought, well, what an interesting thing for this guy to try to do, Has no real emotional connections back on Earth. Goes off and takes this job, and he's scared himself, and he's out of his depth, but he's convinced he's going to try to turn himself into a different person, a real leader. And I thought that it ended up working out pretty well without completely violating what we'd set up. I kind of grew into a leader of sorts.
There was some real honesty in one of the episodes, especially. There's some real honesty about the self-doubt that the character was going through. And I really liked that because I felt like in the end, Woolsey became a really deep character that you really understood, where at first when you see him, you just don't see it.
Yeah, he was one of those what you see is what you get, which is a prick, right? But then I think as the audience got to know him, and sometimes he couldn't help himself but be the old Woolsey. He couldn't help himself but be the officious kind of, this is we got to follow the rule book type of guy. But I think they really tweaked it early on well, where he learned that in these circumstances with this crew in this situation, he had to learn to trust his, his senior officers and advisors, trust them, and also to if he followed the rule book, it wasn't always going to work out. He had to follow his gut as he developed those instincts. So that was it ended up being fun. I was really disappointed to see it end so quickly. I mean, I went in thinking it would just be a year. Also not knowing if Amanda would be back, if her show would succeed, whether I would just be a fill-in. So my own expectations didn't necessarily extend beyond a year, but certainly for the sake of the show as a whole, I was surprised that it didn't go on.
It did seem to be quick. At least you have the movie, right, coming out.
As far as they've written the script for the movie. We don't have a go date yet. It'll depend on whether Sci-Fi Channel, I think, really feels that the interest is strong enough. So we're hoping it happens.
At least
but I don't know.
Right? What is it? Extinction?
The plan. Yeah, it's written, and we just need enough loyal Stargate fans out there to write into the Sci-Fi Channel and say, "Hey, where's the Atlantis movie?"
Yeah. Are you scripted to be in that?
Oh yeah, I am. I'm scripted to be in. If it's made, I will be there.
From the Star Trek end of things, I know a lot of your character was providing a lot of comic relief. However, a lot of Star Trek is kind of social commentary. Is there an episode that you participated in your mind really stands out as a favorite, or maybe made a statement that you felt really satisfied with?
Yeah, I have favorite episodes for different reasons. I love, as far as making a statement, there were two medical shows, Critical Care, where the doctor is basically hijacked by an alien HMO.
Yeah, right.
In a society in which medical care is rationed according to your perceived societal worth as an individual. I thought that was a very interesting and provocative show. And then Nothing Human, where one of my dear friends, David Clennon, guest starred as a holographic recreation of a Cardassian, Mengele, and he had killed thousands of people in medical experimentations to develop a flu antivirus that saved many more lives. So the question was, is medical research tainted by the manner in which it is derived or accomplished? I also loved the episode that the writer Joe Menosky described as the development of the Doctor's soul, or the birth of the Doctor's soul, which was latent image, where in a medical crisis the Doctor saves his friend Harry Kim over another crew person who he doesn't know as well, and then he can't resolve the guilt from having done that, having made a choice like that. was based on individual preference.
Right.
Thought it violated his Hippocratic Oath. That was a good one. And then there were some great comic ones and romantic ones. I loved Someone to Watch Over Me, and some of the lighter-hearted ones, but they were still about, the Our My Fair Lady episode where the teacher falls in love with his student. So there were a lot that I remember fondly. Obviously, the more dramatic Doctor ones usually centered around the medical arena, not exclusively, but often did, or around the entitlement of an individual, what constitutes an individual. So, there were a lot of them that I remember fondly, and being a lot of words to learn.
What did you like about playing the Doctor?
What I like the most in the context of Star Trek, where if you're a Starfleet crew person, there is such a kind of a strict code of ethics and behavior that you normally have to follow. What I loved about playing the Doctor was that he wasn't a real person. He was not an officer. He was designed for emergency medical use for a limited. So I did not have to obey any of the laws of being a Starfleet officer.
Right.
I did not have to be brave, stalwart, true. I didn't have to do any of those things. I could be completely self-involved, cowardly, arrogant. I could have all these negative qualities to play, which the other actors don't have the luxury in their characterizations to play. And that was what turned out to be the most fun, ultimately.
In a sense, he was probably the most human.
Yeah, but also he was the most like the average audience member, right? The average audience member in a crisis situation is not necessarily going to be a hero, right? The way the Doctor is not. It's like, wait a minute, I'm not cut out for this. This is not what I'm supposed to do. That was what the Doctor, his original attitude was like, whoa, I'm designed for this, and now you're, respect what I do know and what I do bring to the table, but don't ask me to do this, this, and this. But because he became the chief medical officer, immediately they were pushing him into doing something he wasn't designed to do. But then he grew to love that, and then he had this parallel instinct to extend himself beyond what his initial programming was. In other words, to make himself a better individual. So on the one hand, he could play all these negative qualities, but on the other hand, he had a better self that wanted to, constantly exceed everyone's expectations and do more and be more valuable. So there was a great wealth of things to play, and it turned out to be a great deal of fun and a very long, interesting arc that I didn't realize I had been blessed with until well into the process. I was ignorant enough about Star Trek and the outsider character that I had been lucky enough to get to not know that I was in for a fun ride.
I think anybody who watched Voyager from season 1 to season 7 could definitely see the character development.
I think I had the other actors, and I have to agree with them. I had the best character. I was a lucky guy.